In mid-May, during an expanded meeting of the Chinese Communist Party's Politburo, tensions ran high as Hu Jintao boldly declared the need for reform at all costs, even if it means civil war. However, what truly shook Zhongnanhai was a 30-minute speech by Zhang Youxia, filled with sharp, direct criticism aimed squarely at Xi Jinping. Commentator Mu Yang revealed the explosive content of this speech in a broadcast on May 25th. What did Zhang Youxia say that struck fear into Xi Jinping and caused close allies like Qi and Qiang to turn their backs on him? Join us as we uncover the truth behind this political earthquake in today's video. My power doesn't come from you, it comes from the people. According to documents shared with commentator Mu Yang, General Zhang Youxia's speech at the expanded Politburo meeting had three main parts: a review of past work, the current situation, and the mission of the military. What stunned everyone in the room was the part of the speech aimed directly at Xi Jinping. Zhang began modestly, presenting his remarks as a personal report on his thinking and political stance. But as he continued, his tone became strikingly firm. He made it clear that this was a serious statement made in his capacity as vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, a responsibility he holds toward the Communist Party, the military, and the future of the nation. In other words, Zhang was openly declaring that his words reflected the military's stance. He went on to briefly explain why he was retained at the 20th Party Congress. He addressed Xi directly, stating that under normal rules, he should have retired in 2022 due to age limits. However, the party's leadership kept him on as vice chairman of the military commission. Officially, it was said this was to ensure a smooth handover of experience, but in reality, things were more complicated. Xi Jinping wanted him to stay on, to help stabilize the military, ensure the Congress went smoothly, and support Xi's re-election. Zhang said that as a soldier, he obeyed the party's decision at the time. He helped coordinate related tasks, including deploying troops into Beijing to maintain stability, and led the military in publicly expressing support for Xi's re-election. He made it crystal clear. It was Xi who wanted him to stay, not just to pass down experience, but to help control the army and use military power to secure Xi's re-election at the 20th Congress. Zhang admitted to mobilizing troops in Beijing under the guise of maintaining stability. In truth, this meant securing the venue of the Congress, monitoring every participant, and leading the military's declaration of loyalty to Xi Jinping. Some people questioned reports that senior party elders supported Zhang Youxia in ousting Xi Jinping. They argued that if those elders still had any real power, Xi wouldn't have been able to stage what looked like a political coup at the 20th Congress, publicly removing Hu Jintao from the venue in front of the world. But after hearing Zhang's speech, the picture becomes clearer. At that time, Zhang supported Xi's re-election, brought troops into Beijing, and helped Xi take full control of the Congress, closely watching every delegate. In such a situation, who would dare oppose Xi? Who would even whisper dissent, knowing they could be dragged away instantly, maybe even executed on the spot? Seen this way, Xi actually showed some restraint with Hu Jintao, merely escorting him out of the hall instead of taking harsher action. Had it been anyone else, the outcome might have been far worse. However, Zhang Youxia admitted that supporting Xi Jinping's re-election was a mistake. He said it broke national norms, violated the party's institutional rules, and disappointed senior party elders. Zhang publicly apologized to the Politburo and those elders present, declaring that cooperating with Xi had been a serious misjudgment, one that undermined the legitimacy of Xi's third term. Zhang revealed that after the 20th Party Congress, he faced intense pressure. Some accused him of having too much merit for the leader's comfort and tried to isolate him, even urging him to retire. He also learned that Xi had arranged for Hu Weidong to replace him. As a soldier, Zhang expressed deep concern about the state of the military, especially the reckless push for war with Taiwan. He warned that any poorly considered military action could have catastrophic consequences. That's why he chose to remain in his position until the 21st Party Congress, to help ensure stability and national security, a clear sign of his opposition to Xi's invasion plans. Zhang said that as a result, he was targeted with envy and attacks. The political pressure against him intensified. He pointed to the downfalls of two former defense ministers. Li Shangfu was removed shortly after taking office, and Wei Feng was accused of corruption. Both moves that indirectly targeted Zhang himself. He claimed that some were trying to turn him into another Guo Boxiang or Shu Taiho, two disgraced generals, even threatening to jail him for life. What shocked him most was when Zhang Xiaojun, then head of the Central Military Commission Office, publicly confronted him, saying, "What makes Zhang Youxia think he can defy Chairman Xi? Do you have a death wish?" Zhang replied that he had already faced death on the battlefield and answered that question long ago. A soldier follows orders, but his honor cannot be insulted, and the rules of the party and military must be upheld. In short, Zhang made it clear he doesn't fear death then or now and would die to defend the military's integrity. Zhang continued, saying that despite being unjustly attacked and slandered, he would not bow his head. At a critical moment, with support from senior retired military leaders, he took decisive steps to stop interference and damage to the military, and moved to investigate and deal with a group of corrupt, incompetent officers. Zhang didn't name the senior leaders who supported him, but judging from the situation, they likely include figures such as Wen Jiabao, Hu Jintao, and Li Ruihuan, longtime party elders known for their integrity and opposition to Xi. Hu Jintao, as a former general secretary and military commission chairman, fits the description well, though there have been rumors about his poor health, suggesting that Wen Jiabao may have taken the lead. As for the decisive measures Zhang mentioned, these may refer to the removal of Xi Jinping. On October 3, 2024, insider reports revealed how Xi Jinping was placed under control and lost power. The trigger was an incident involving Kai Chi, who had misappropriated a large sum of military funds, angering top generals. Before the third plenum, they turned to Liu Yuan, son of revolutionary leader Liu Shaoqi, to voice their frustration. Liu led them to confront Xi Jinping to demand accountability. But Xi saw this as coercion. Outwardly, he agreed to resolve it immediately, sending the generals away, then detained Liu Yuan. Realizing the severity of the situation, the generals contacted Hu Jintao, resting in Chengdu, and Wen Jiabao in Beijing, and then called Zhang Youxia directly. In response, senior leaders and Zhang mobilized 200 Special Forces troops from the Western Theater Command, stormed Zhongnanhai, the central leadership compound, shot dead a key official from the Central Security Bureau who tried to stop them, and arrested Tai Chi and Wang Xiaohong. When they confronted Xi Jinping, Zhang Youxia slammed the table and said, "My position comes from the people, not from you. Do you really think you're an emperor? The entire country is spending every day studying your speeches and directives. No one has time left to do real work. People across China can barely survive. Do you really think they see you as a true leader?" Zhang wanted to strip Xi of power entirely and replace him with Liu Yuan. But Liu declined, not wanting to inherit the mess. So they decided to leave Xi in his post nominally, as a figurehead, but took away most of his real authority. After explaining why he had no choice but to strike back, Zhang reminded everyone that the Chinese military once played key roles in taking down the Gang of Four and protecting Deng Xiaoping's reform and opening up policies. Now, at another historic moment, the military must rise again to defend reform and national stability. Zhang acknowledged that Xi's anti-corruption campaign had some success, but criticized him for treating the military as a political experiment. Under the guise of fighting corruption, Xi purged over 100 senior officers, a loss greater than a full-scale war. Zhang accused Xi of using fear and purges to assert control, planting loyalists to spy on others, and even using illegal review committees to interfere in military inspections. He even mentioned Peng Liuan, Xi's wife and a former opera singer, overseeing promotions of top generals. Zhang said such a thing was unheard of in all of Chinese history. If this continues, he warned, the country will no longer be a country, and the military will no longer be a military. Then came Zhang's most explosive statement. He pledged that given the mistake of Xi's third term, the military, and he himself, were ready to correct that error. He said this was the only way to make things right. Then he declared, "I propose that Comrade Xi Jinping resign as General Secretary, Chairman of the Central Military Commission, and President of the country." At the end of his speech, Zhang Youxia said the military supports reform and opening up under new leadership. Any efforts to turn back the clock, revive personality cults, or return to the chaos of the Cultural Revolution would be crushed with an iron fist. Clearly, Xi Jinping has lost control. The fourth plenum of the Chinese Communist Party may be the final chapter of Xi's rule, and that chapter is likely just around the corner. The prophetic clash between Xi Jinping and Zhang Youxia. Traditional Chinese culture is rich with prophecies, and among the most famous is the Tui Bei Tu, back-pushing diagram. One particularly striking prophecy from this text is said to foretell that Zhang Youxia would be the one to overthrow Xi Jinping and bring down the Chinese Communist Party. In Tui Bei Tu, the 46th image reads, "A soldier carries a bow, calls himself the old white-haired man. A golden sword is hidden behind the eastern gate. A brave warrior enters the palace from the rear." Many interpret this as a symbolic reference to political upheaval in Zhongnanhai during Xi Jinping's rule. Some observers believe Zhang Youxia, whose given name contains the character for bow, is the man with the bow mentioned in the prophecy. Why is Zhang Youxia seen as the one destined to end Xi Jinping's power? Zhang was born in the year of the tiger and is currently 75 years old. In Chinese astrology, the tiger Zhang and the snake Xi Jinping's sign are considered natural enemies. Their clash is described in feng shui as intense and potentially fatal. Either the tiger crushes the snake, or the snake strangles the tiger. This cosmic tension frames their confrontation as a classic battle between dragon and tiger. Interestingly, another key political figure born in the year of the tiger was Jiang Zemin, one full zodiac cycle older than Zhang Youxia. Xi once struggled to overcome Jiang's influence, but ultimately failed to surpass him, partly due to Xi's own ambitions and self-interest. Though Xi harbored resentment toward Jiang, he remained restrained while Jiang was still alive. One telling event was the unusual treatment of Jiang Zemin's remains after his death. Xi is said to have deliberately had Jiang's body transported from Shanghai to Beijing. During the transfer to Baboshan Cemetery, Jiang's body was reportedly exposed to the sun, a breach of traditional respect and seen by some as a symbolic insult, implying Jiang was less than human. This was interpreted by many as a final act of disrespect from Xi. Still, while Jiang lived, his presence continued to restrain Xi. Now, speculation on Chinese social media suggests that Zhang Youxia, also a tiger, has emerged as the next great challenger to Xi Jinping, stepping into the role that prophecy and fate appear to have prepared for him. What grudges exist between Zhang Youxia and Xi Jinping? Zhang Youxia, a powerful general, has been closely tied to the General Armaments Department since 2012, the very year Xi Jinping rose to power. Zhang's influence traces back to his father, Zhang Zongxin, a founding general of the People's Republic and former minister of the General Logistics Department during the Cultural Revolution, 1968 to 1969. At the time, Mao Zedong relied heavily on the military to maintain control, and Zhang Zongxin was one of his key pillars. The General Logistics Department, later renamed the General Armaments Department, became the Zhang family's stronghold, a network deeply rooted in kinship and military ties. By contrast, Xi's father, Xi Jinping, was a civilian official, while Zhang Zongxin was a career soldier, making their families natural complements during earlier eras of cooperation between the political and military elite. Born in 1950, Zhang Youxia joined the military in the 1960s. During the 1979 Sino-Vietnamese border war, he served as a company commander on the front lines. One of the few generals today who has actually seen real combat. In the 1984 Battle of Laoshan, Zhang led a vanguard unit into dangerous terrain, risking the lives of his entire unit to help secure a decisive victory. This bold leadership earned him a promotion to division commander. His rise to general was paid for with blood and sacrifice. In July 2011, under Hu Jintao's leadership, Zhang was promoted to full general. Hu's support left a deep impression on Zhang. He believed Hu had never suppressed him. Quite the opposite, Hu had helped advance his career. So when Xi Jinping later launched a sweeping purge of the General Armaments Department, it deeply angered Zhang Youxia and forced him into a position where he felt he had to act. Xi Jinping believed he could topple Zhang by using subordinates like Miao Hua and He Weidong. But that plan backfired. Former generals like Xu Chaiho and Guo Boxiang were easier to bring down because they lacked strong institutional support. Zhang Youxia, on the other hand, was backed by an entire network of senior officers, many of whom were protégés or peers of his father, Zhang Zhongshen. Targeting Zhang meant striking at the heart of the entire general armaments system. Zhang's current role in bringing down Xi Jinping and potentially dismantling the Communist Party itself didn't happen by accident. How will Zhang act next? Will fate allow him to carry out this mission? We'll have to wait and see.